joining me now, a member of the APC, Mr. Adamu Garba. Thank you so much indeed for coming.
Thank you for having me.
I see all your social media engagement. It does look like you and your friends on social media are not relenting. I understand that you were actually expelled from the university. Is that true?
That's true. That's absolutely true.
You were expelled?
True. Yes, I was actually.
Really?
I was.
For what offense?
Yeah, it was a rally. I think a protest that took place. I wasn't around even in the university then, but it has a lot of things to do with so many of my supporters. So the school decided to say me, somebody like me, especially with the political environment as at then, it was a state university founded by an opposition member then, Konkoso, Rabi Musa Konkoso, and then you had a governor who came from the opposition, Malam Shekarau, and they felt like it is Konkoso's boys in the university, you know, that are doing these things, and the politics...
That's how you were expelled?
That's why I was expelled.
So your critics were very right, your opponent on the...
Yeah, they are right, but it was completely illegal. It has no any basis. It is just...
But the fact is you were expelled.
I was actually,
okay,
yes.
So,
yes.
I mean, that's not the subject of conversation.
Yeah.
I was just following and seeing what is happening. So, generally, what is happening within your party? The onus is on your party to decide how you want things to go in terms of the National Assembly leadership politics. What are you hearing at the moment?
Yeah, frankly, you know, a lot of permutations is ongoing. There are some proponents of zoning that the party should zone to the south. Some are saying the party should zone to the north. Somebody like me, I'm insisting that the party should zone the Senate presidency to the northwest, you know.
Because you are from Kano?
Not really. I'm from Adamu State. I'm not even from the northeast. But when you are trying to reward political offices or you try to organize a government that should function effectively, you need to control your zone of influence, especially we that we are just coming in, like returning for the second time APC in power. It is very important for us to consolidate our bases against 2027. Why we voted for Asiwaju overwhelmingly and we trusted him is because of the transformation stride he recorded in Lagos. And we want unceasing transformation to happen for 8 years, not just 4 years. And a situation whereby we don't consolidate our bases very well and organize the government and pay compensation to the people that contributed immensely to our success, then it's not really going to work well for us. And that is why I think Northwest is the best zone, and even Northwest Kano, because Kano has been one of the pillars of APC from the beginning.
Why Kano? You have only one senator from Kano.
Yes, Senator Barrow Jibrin, that's the person I'm going for. That's the person I'm actually rooting for, because for him to defeat Konkwasiya Tsunami from Kano, it means that we need somebody to be able to neutralize this Konkwasiya in the Northwest. And if he is able to defeat Konkwasiya at the height of their popularity, then this is the main person that we need at that position.
All right, let me. I mean, so I'll ask you the simple question of fairness.
Yeah.
So perhaps if a producer can bring back the diagram on the chart on how things are presently in terms of where the president-elect is from, the vice president-elect, and you look at it, southwest, that's where the president-elect is from. The northeast, that's where the vice president-elect is from. Where would so you are saying, invariably, so if you have that diagram coming downward, a northeast vice president-elect, so you are saying a northwest Senate president. Does that look fair in the issue of balance of power?
Completely fair. You see, in politics, it is about numbers. And numbers, they don't lie. They are very real. And you have to follow the numbers if you truly want to sustain the numbers.
But this is not politics.
It is actually politics.
This is issue of national development and governance issue.
Yes, it's a national development and governance issue.
So the Constitution has prescribed on how the nation should be able to handle in the section, in the chapter 2 of the Constitution, it talked about how things should be fairly distributed equitably to every part of the country. And every part of the country should feel among in the scheme of things.
Yes, I like the last person, the last visitor you had. He discussed extensively about competence, character, and credibility of the candidate. Among all those that presented themselves to aspire for that office, the most competent among them is the same Barrow Jibrin. Among all of them, he is the highest ranking Senate among all of them. So when you compare these things, you will see clearly that the odds favors him, coupled with the fact that the numbers came from there. And if you're talking about equitable distribution or fairness, these are numbers, and we have to be real in our selections. We cannot be able to go and incentivize the zone that give us far less, in fact, failed us completely.
So you're talking about, so
yes.
you're getting my point wrong,
yes.
Mr. Garba. And the point I'm asking, you are talking about politics and your party, the equation in your party. We're talking about the issue of national unity in this country. And if you bring back that diagram again, for those who think the Southwest, the Northeast, does it make sense in terms of equitable distribution of offices and power and balance of power, that the number they might refer to as the number 3 will be from the Northwest? Does it make sense? Actually, Southwest, South, North, and you go to the North again.
Actually, it makes perfect sense. You see, this equitable distribution we have been talking about has not worked over time. Why? Because we try to compensate people that are not interested, and a situation whereby you don't want to come to the center. If you are given opportunity, most of the times you tend to corrupt these things. And if you are talking about equitable distribution, when you run down the history of our political permutation in this country from 1999, in 1999 to 2007, the president of the country, number 1, was from the Southwest, and he successfully ruled. Then in 2015, when you take out the 8 years preceding Yaradua and Jonathan, in 2015 we have number 2 man from the same Southwest and number 1 man from the Northwest. So, and now we even have another again, Southwest, with number 1 man for additional 8 years by the special grace of God. So when you look at these things, some of them are not like by orchestration. It is just by happenstance. And in politics, there's something that is called consequence of partnership. And these are the kind of consequences of partnership the North and the South came together, especially the Southwest, to produce the new government. So it's not binding on us to say we are going to follow the PDP template. We have also our template because there are peculiarity that brought us together.
So even if your template offends the sensibility of the nation,
actually it doesn't offend any sensibility. You see.
So let's look at it from this.
And when you look at
manner.
politics, yes,
so why does your party think, for example, that if and this is the template you have in PDP and some other political party, the president at the moment of your party is from the President Muhammad Buhari.
Yes.
Is from the Northwest.
Yes.
And you decided that you were going to zone, and the governors of your party said it's better to zone the next presidential ticket
to the south. Correct.
So why that reasoning? And if you're now thinking that now for you it's okay to take a Southwest president-elect, a vice president-elect from the Northeast, and you're going to the North.
No.
A right-thinking narrative for those who are on the other side would think that, look, it has to go to the South.
No.
Either South or Southeast or South. I mean, not Southwest, of course, because the president-elect from the Southwest.
Our realities are different. Now, the vice president-elect is from the Southwest. That's what it is. So number 2 is from the Southwest, who is exiting for number 1 from the Southwest. So our peculiarities are different, and don't forget.
You're looking at the template of now, not the one that is outgoing.
That's why that template that they are trying to distribute should not stand. Why? Because it is very critical for us to look at our peculiarity. Don't forget, even though we have number 2 man as the vice president, we still have number 4 man from the same state as the Speaker of the Representative. Why? Because of our peculiarities, because of our realities. And when you come to National Assembly politics, it's about zone. It has nothing to do with national spread. You have to break the North into the 3 zones that they are and try to appreciate, compensate, and empower the most competent among them who represent the zone of influence.
Apologies to cut in. Are you aware of some of the strain that the election has cost the unity of this country?
Of course, I'm very, very much aware.
Ethnic and religious.
Yeah, very, very much aware.
And so you are very strong. You are defending and debating that the number 3, after you have a Northeast vice president-elect, that Senate president should go to the the Northwest.
Yes.
Now the question is that, so the 2 men that we understand and know confirmed now are both Muslims.
Yes.
Would you also say that the Senate president, the number 3, should be a Muslim too?
You see, when you try to bring politics of religion into the National Assembly, you are not going to get it right. This is zonal issue. The Northwest brought 2.7 million votes for us to come back to power. We need to understand this. And the Northwest decided to throw their man away, who is Atiku Abubakar, in honor of promise and in honor of partnership. And this is the consequence of partnership, and the partnership produced this outcome. So a situation whereby we are going into National Assembly politics, we should pay attention to the zones as opposed to talking about religion. it is the zone that produced the highest amount of vote that we need to compensate. You can't carry the Senate presidency and give to the zone that gave you 1.5% of the total vote that produced as against the zone that gave you 30% of the total vote, which is the Northwest. So these are just peculiarities, these are numbers. They might be unfair to some people, but they are our realities. They are the reflection of our realities. They are what we are going to hold on to
of your own
our
party.
subsequent election.
Of your own party.
Yes.
And your party is a party of Nigeria.
Of course.
And that party may not be what you're saying may not be reflecting the sensibility of Nigeria as a nation.
All of this, the Labour Party participated, right? You have PDP participated. They have their senators, Labour Party have their senators, SDP have their senators. You know, I think another party again has their senators, and then we now have APC. Some of them won, some of them lost. And when you participate in election, when you win, it is natural that you should do everything to consolidate your hold onto your position first and foremost. Then the others that lost also should be magnanimous to understand that they participated and lost. Should it be that maybe one of the parties won, maybe it may go in their favor that way. So we should look into these things. These are political realities. A situation whereby we are going to risk our 2027 plan, jettisoning the Northwest that has done everything possible to maintain APC held on to power, number one. And number two, that produced the most competent senator among all the aspirants. You can't compare all the aspirants. You can't compare all the other ones that declared Ojus or Kalu or Akpabio with Senator Barrow Jibrin. This man has had several committees, organized a lot of work in the National Assembly, especially around appropriation committee, that saw to the implementation of most of the programs of this government. He is the most competent, he's the most organized, he has been there, he's the fourth-time senator, he is the highest ranking member of the National Assembly currently of the Senate. Why are we keeping competency as opposed to other primordial interests that might not add up anything to our 2027?
So other zones don't have competent people?
As the last speaker said, you have many offices that are distributed. You have about 6 principal offices that all zones are going to benefit from it. So that's what it is. So it should go as simple as that. Other offices, they can go for deputies. We have Speaker, House of Representatives, can go to the Southeast. You also have other principal offices, Deputy Senate President, Chief Whip, the Senate Leader, downward. You can distribute these things as much as possible. But we have to empower someone from Kano to be able to neutralize the Konkwasiya influence in Kano in our favor for 2027. It is very important for us to reflect our political realities. Yes, it is a party issue. Yes, it is a PC issue. But these are our realities, and we have to cement that.
It's interesting. A lot of people, they might be itching and about what you've said tonight, and they will be definitely may not agree with what you said. But let's close this conversation around. There is a renewed agitation against the mandate of your presidential candidate. I'm very sure there's something about Uber facts and something that have just been released about some issues, some papers and some issues that in fact have been taken to court right now. How did you see that coming up? But how does that mean to you that there is a continued agitation about the competency and the character of your presidential candidate? Our
presidential candidate, or maybe President-elect, His Excellency Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is actually the most competent among all of them, and his character is super excellent, and we look forward to his giant stride transformation that he will do to Nigeria in the next 8 years by the special grace of God. And what UberFact did, I'm a tech person, and I do a lot of things around tech, especially when you come to social media. I even build a social media app, so I understand the algorithm. These guys have about 13 million followers. For the past 3 months, they hardly have any engagement that is more than 20,000 on their pages. So the only way to get engagement is to look for a group of people that are ready for your kind of narrative so that they can get engagement, so that they can come alive. So they decided to reincarnate a dead case, a stale case, target Nigerian audience so that they can get the retweet, the likes, and the audience they have. As at the time I'm coming here, they have about 12 million views. Success for them. And in fact, it's not even enough. They have to run another clarification again just to sustain the engagement and come alive. So they just use the dumb obedient to be able to get engagement.
Well, that word might be very, very harsh. Please, unlike you
so I would
to use. Please, I wouldn't like you to call anybody dumb, even if you don't agree with their perspective to things. And there's been a whole lot of these clash that we have seen over time for those who feel that maybe the mandate was not legitimate and their party have gone to court to challenge it. And so I asked a question the other day to someone else, and I probably will ask you also, why is that agitation so enormous? Have you seen any kind of opposition, or even when an election is being decided in this kind of manner and magnitude?
You see, Nigeria's election has never been this fairest and fairest. It is freest and fairest ever, because it deployed technology, and we believers in technology, we understood that. But again, for the beauty of democracy to be enthroned, you need such kind of agitation, provided they are not toxic. It's the toxicity that we are complaining. But don't forget, our current president always argue his cases up to Supreme Courts. Always argue his cases up to Supreme Court. So it's a tradition in APC that you must contest what you don't agree. As you are Bola Ahmed Tinubu and so many agitations similar to this case through the normal procedure, through the court proceedings, have passed a lot of issues up to Supreme Court. If you could recall what happened with Adams Oshomole's election, or what happened in Ekiti, these are cases that went up to Supreme Court to recover. So we believe in this kind of thing, provided it followed through norms, democracy, procedure, according to the law. Not toxic agitations that don't make sense. The fact that they went to court is fine by us. We don't have any problem. And we have retinue of sons, professionals, that are going to defend these things. After all, so many of the sons are coming out to say they don't even have a case.
So my question really is, in the manner in which, if, for example, you have passed and you emerge as the school declare you as a best student, graduating student, and there's not been any major kind of opposition to anybody who has been so declared. But this time around, there's been so much of agitation against the person who has been declared as the best graduating student. Don't you think that something is wrong?
Actually,
there is an aura of unusual climate over shrouding that mandate. That's the question I'm asking you. Why is it so much different that this agitation that we're seeing on the mandate of your party after this election so intense?
You see, so many people invested emotions in election. And in election, emotions doesn't work. What works usually is the outcomes. You are able to participate, you are able to convince people, and you are able to get votes. And that's what our party did.